Hey everybody, Manny Talaver here. We're now on day 79 of the seven-figure climb. And on this video, we're going to talk about creating your own personal customized seven-figure path. And what we're just going to talk about for a few minutes here is creating some benchmarks, some things that you can use to measure improvement, measure moving forward, and all of those things. And this business is very, very, very difficult because, unfortunately, um, we're not punching a time clock. We're not going and working 40 hours, and at the end of that 40 hours, we get a result from it. We get money from it. And so, if you haven't seen by watching a lot of this so far, very, very, very little movement as far as moving the needle as far as money. I can tell you, we will talk about some offers that I've made here in a little bit in the next few, in some videos down the line that have pretty much haven't moved the needle or haven't taken off or anything like that. But unfortunately, like I said, there will be a lot of time spent without having income, what we would call burst of income or revenue streams from things. And so what you do is you work for a really, really long time on something and you release it, and either it doesn't work or it works and takes off and you get some revenue from that. And so what I wanted you to think about is, first of all, this is about my personal goal to make seven figures, but you don't have to have a goal to make seven figures. Like, your goal might be your first 100,000. Your goal might be to be overhead free, or basically build no longer day to day, week to week, or month to month, so you have enough money in the bank to live for a year or 2 years or 3 years, no matter what happens. Your seven figures might be, your number might be 300 or 500,000. And what's interesting about that, depending on where you live, uh, seven figures can go a little way or a long way, and there's a lot of variations in between. It's interesting. One of the things I will tell you not to buy into is, don't go out and watch all the gurus that say 10 million is the new million. You need to make 10 million to really be able to do anything, or you need $7.5 million in your bank, including and no debt to retire, because that's really just not accurate. It's based on a number. What you need to make is going to be based on the cost of living where you live, the cost of housing where you live, the cost of your lifestyle. Because there are certainly people who fly every single week, and they're going to retire so that they can travel for the rest of their lives. And those people need much, much, much more money than someone who's going to retire to a piece of property, and they're not going to do all of those things. And so they're not going to spend nearly the amount of money on lifestyle that a lot of other people do. And so that's what you want to think about. Now, I can tell you some things that you can do, little short, to give you some ideas for shortcuts. Come up with the amount of money you plan to spend every month, right? So how much are you going to spend every month? Let's say you're going to spend $20,000 a month, and that's 240,000 a year. So if you're going to spend 240,000 a year, you might want to adjust this for inflation some, but you might need. So how much money do you need to have in investments that would spend off $240,000 a year in revenue? So if you have, $5 million in investments, and those investments make you 240,000 a year, you're living off the interest on those investments. You're not touching the principal. But that would be a good rule of thumb. But like I said, don't let anyone tell you that you need $1 bazillion to retire. And depending on where you live, you're going to need more or less money. So if you live in California, probably more money than if you live in the Midwest. If you're living in New York, probably more money than you're going to need if you live in Florida. And so that's what I want you all to kind of think about here. And so, and like I said, this is the other thing. I mean, I 100% want the million. I 100% want the 2 Comma Club award. I would give a lot back in order to get that. But you got to set benchmarks. And so my first benchmark is to be completely debt free. and then my second benchmark is to have 100,000 net. And because everyone says the first 100,000 is the hardest, and so my goal now is to be number one, be debt free, and then number two, have 100,000. And I can tell you with that 100,000, I could literally probably coast for 3 or 4 years if without that spinning off even any revenue. And so I would no longer be day to day, week to week, month to month, or any of that. And so you might want to think about those. Another thing that you can think about is a lot of people think of in terms of they want to make 10,000 a month or 20,000 a month or 50,000 a month. But you might want to also think about the number 8, because 8s are also good. So 8,000 a month is 96,000 a year. 80,000 a month is 960,000 a year. So those are, just short of a 10,000, 100,000, a million. That's what you want to think about. And so you can think about everything in terms of 8s as well. So, 800 a month, 8,000 a month, 80,000 a month, and things, and then that type of numbers. And then the other thing that you want to think about is how soon can you no longer do anything that you want to do. And a lot of people talk about FU money, and I think FU money is extremely important. I think that is a place, there's a place for that. And then what is it that you're doing right now that you don't want to do? And I can tell you, for me, Messenger, I really want the million and I really want the 2 comma club, but almost as much as those two things, I don't want to ever have to deal with anyone in Messenger again. I can't stand Messenger. I don't like getting them. I don't like sending them for a number of reasons. First of all, I'm legally blind and I don't see it very well. And whoever created Messenger is just, I don't know. I don't understand the mentality of someone who would create this. But I can tell you, and I don't know, I'm talking about Messenger and Facebook now, but I'm just going to tell you what happens. You can type a sentence in Facebook and Messenger, and you can type it perfectly, and you can spell perfect, and you can put a capital letter at the beginning of the sentence and a period at the end of the sentence. And for whatever reason, Messenger will change that. They will change words. They will reword the thing, and they will turn something that you wrote that makes perfect sense to you into something that someone else can't. And I'm not talking about chat. I'm not talking about talk to type. I'm talking about actually typing. And so very, very, very frustrated for me, because I type very well. I can type 60 words a minute. I'm extremely careful. And then what I do, I send a message to someone and I look like an idiot because Facebook reworded it. And so I don't like Messenger. And the only thing worse than sending them is getting them. And the problem is, the bigger you are, the more you get. And and so you're getting 10 a day, 20 a day, 30 a day, 50 a day, 100 a day. I mean, the bigger you get, the more of those you're going to get. And then ultimately, the good news about all of this is, if you scale with ads, or it doesn't really matter how you scale, but what happens is, at some point when critical mass takes over, which means the snowball's going downhill and you're making more and more and more and more money at each month, you can't really even answer all the DMs. And so you basically either outsource it and don't answer any of them, or you just walk away from it. And my goal, I will feel I have arrived when I don't ever have to answer a DM again. And the goal there is, once that's the case, there will probably be maybe 4 people who I will communicate with in Messenger, and I will just basically delete and remove all of them. And what's interesting, you kind of know the gurus. They're a guru. You send them message after message, they never respond to it because they can't. And what's interesting, I've seen the climb for people who started out and they were talking to everyone in Messenger, and now they don't. And what's interesting, a lot of people I used to have conversations with in Messenger all the time. Dan Henry, I could probably name 10 or 15 people who blew up, and now they don't respond to you at all. And what happens if you get a response from them? It's not them. It's someone pretending to be them. It's a personal assistant, a VAPA, or something like that. And so I just wanted to give you some insights on this. And so we would call this your own personal 7-figure path. you want to kind of create that. You want to figure out what that looks like for you. And then you want to kind of start building your own benchmarks. And then the other thing is, make the list of the things that you don't want to ever have to do again. FU money, things that, if I don't ever want to deal with this person again. I don't ever want to deal with these people again. I don't like my deal is Messenger. I don't ever want to have to deal with people in Messenger again. I just can't stand it. But unfortunately, it's a part of the ecosystem. And if you're trying to sell, people ask you questions who would be buyers, and you don't have that many buyers. Unfortunately, it's part of the ecosystem you can't get around. But that's kind of my mindset on it. And so I hope you got some value from this. We will see you all in the next video, and thanks a lot.